What's up, dudes? Max here, preparing for the weekend because it is the Killer Instinct World Cup taking place right now. I'm actually going to be heading out just tonight to go over and commentate the Killer Instinct Finals, which will be taking place tomorrow, Sunday the 12th, on Team Spooky's Twitch channel. So if you guys want to check that out, we'll be live tomorrow. But other than that, there's been a whole bunch of stuff that's actually been recently revealed for Killer Instinct as of today, including Fulgore's full ultimate. Jago and Fulgore share a similarity as they really want to cook the opponent. Now, this wasn't the only reveal, as today was the first time we got a chance to see Shin Hisako in motion, and I got a quick breakdown for you guys because they showed off everything in terms of the character, her abilities, her instinct, and what she's about and how different she is from regular Hisako. The first thing you're going to notice is that she does share quite a few similar animations to Hisako, including a Rekka which is kinda similar to the original Hisako. Hisako did have a Rekka where you had to make a choice between going high, mid, or low. This one is a bit different, but it also is fairly similar because she is carrying a katana now. However, just like Kilgore compared to Fulgore, in terms of gameplay, things get pretty freaking weird. Hisako in the original game is kind of known as a grappler slash counter character, and that stuff is still somewhat present in Shin Hisako, but not really. Shin Hisako does not have the high counters or the low counters, and while regular Hisako does have 2 command grabs, Shin Hisako does get 1, but it acts a lot different. Shin Hisako is a much more offensive version of regular Hisako, and that can absolutely be seen in her mobility. Her forward dash doesn't act like any other character's forward dash in this game. Her forward dash is a teleport up forward, leading to a natural cross-up situation that you're gonna have to be ready for. I feel like this character doesn't do as much damage as regular Hisako right now, but she does appear to have way more opportunities to open up the opponent for damage. For example, several of her specials actually cross up on the opposite side of the opponent, meaning that you have to suddenly block the opposite direction, kind of similar to how Saberwolf can dash through you. This is put into one of her special moves where she cross slashes through you, and all of a sudden you have to change the direction you're actually blocking. She also has this recapture style move, which is kind of similar to one of the original character. However, it does hit overhead and it does lunge across the entire screen. She has some other nuances, but the big change is this spirit orb thing. She can set out a spirit orb on the screen and it can float around, and I believe you can control its direction, but you can also hit it where it turns into a projectile, and it's also a high capacity projectile, meaning it'll blast out almost anything else in the game, excluding things like fully charged fireballs, shadow moves, and Kim's dragons. They can also be set out in the air, meaning that you can set up for some pretty interesting situations where they come out diagonal angles. It's going to be a little weird how you're going to be able to control this stuff all at once, only because you can also set these things not just as projectiles, but as curses somewhat on the opponent where they'll carry and follow around the opponent. And in this situation, they're not specifically good for projectiles, but they modify the heavy attacks that Shin Hisako does. Shin Hisako will actually move towards this cursed item, the same projectile that she was using to throw up before. She can modify her heavy moves and it'll teleport to the enemy, which is getting a little freaking crazy. Like I said before, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for Shin Hisako to open up the opponent than the regular version of Hisako, but she seems to be lacking damage to kind of make up for it. What she doesn't have is, like I said, those counters from the original version of Hisako. She also doesn't have delayed auto doubles, which is the unique combo trait of the regular Hisako. She is through and through a different character, even though similar to Kilgore to Fulgore, a lot of stuff does look a little similar, but once things start rolling in gameplay, it gets a little nuts, and I'm really curious to see how she is going to evolve. I personally wasn't a huge fan of Kilgore's gameplay. He just seemed a little odd and nuanced in comparison to the rest of the cast, and they'd have said that Hisako is going to be a little bit more straightforward of a character and a more offensive character at that. So it sounds like something that's going to be a bit of fun because you're going to have access to stuff that seems really good very early on, and that's usually what the majority of Killer Instinct characters are kind of like. Her instinct is probably my favorite part because she summons these hands that come out of the ground and you can kind of guide their direction that can grab the opponent if they stay on it for too long or are not blocking. If they are blocking or are stuck in block stun, they were saying that you cannot actually grab the opponent from the ground and just pull them under. Instead, you have to wait for them not blocking for a moment or they have to jump on it or something like that. So there's going to be some pretty unique setups that involve her instinct where she's going to pull you into the earth. I did really like Hisako's stage Ultra, which was only on her stage, and this is kind of a throwback to that that's now implemented into her instinct, and it's probably one of the best looking things she has right now. The character is going to be available in about a couple of weeks. They said that she is going to be available on March 21st, which is a Tuesday. But before that, the Tuesday that's coming up this week, which is the 14th, there is a big Killer Instinct update patch where the update notes have not exactly been detailed yet. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're going to be changing with characters. But as of right now, I don't believe there's any concrete information on that. The Ultimates, as we discussed before, are going to be released relatively soon, coming up at the beginning of March, which is going to include Fulgore and a lot of the other Ultra Tech-style characters, including Kilgore, Arya, Sadira, and Riptor. So, I want to test those out. We'll use as many characters to get as many Ultimates as possible, especially with Fulgore, because he's my son. And that just about does it from Killer Instinct Cup right now. If anything else does get updated over the weekend, I'll be back to report on it as soon as possible, as I will not be returning until Monday morning to check all this new stuff out in Killer Instinct next week, hopefully. And then just a week after that, we'll be playing some Shin Hisako online, and hopefully we'll be able to figure some stuff out to do a week of with her that'll show up on this channel. As always, dudes, thank you a ton for watching, thank you for hanging out, and I'll be back with more Killer Instinct as soon as possible. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.
Supreme victory!